The San Francisco 49ers are reportedly making calls gauging the NFL wide receiver trade market. And as we know, the San Francisco 49ers, it was reported over the weekend that they were in talks with the Texans for wide receiver John Metchie. Ultimately, the Texans traded Metchie to the Philadelphia Eagles. They liked the compensation better in that package, but it was reported that it was between the Philadelphia Eagles and the 49ers on that particular one. This report comes from Dianna Russini again after that trade seemingly fell through. So what it seems to indicate is that the 49ers aren't done making calls. This is something that we had discussed when talking about that initial report is, well, if they're making that call and they were interested in John Metchie, I'm sure that they are also calling across the league as roster cut downs loom of who could potentially be available. And we see this happen all the time on roster cut down day. A guy who is not going to make a team's roster, teams will make a call. They'll send a 7th round pick, a pick swap, or something, just so that they could have first rights at that particular player. Otherwise, if those players are cut, they enter the waiver system, and there's no guarantee you get your hands on them. So we see these kinds of back-end fringe player roster moves quite often in about a week or so when the final 53 is cut. So I think the 49ers, as we know, are just snake bitten right now with injury. They're just struggling right now to field what feels like a second string roster for the final preseason game of the year against the Chargers. So it'll be interesting to see how the 49ers maneuver through this period if they are able to obtain a wide receiver. But, if we take a look at the 49ers' current wide receiver room, you obviously have Brandon Aiyuk at the top. There's no word yet if he will start the year on reserve PUP. That would put him on the shelf for the first 4 weeks of the season. So we don't know if that's occurring yet. Obviously, Jauan Jennings dealing with a calf injury. From all the reports, it doesn't sound like Jauan Jennings is ramping up his rehab process just yet. And then, of course, you have Ricky Pearsall, who has been playing very well at training camp. And obviously, you guys got to see in the preseason game against the Raiders. But beyond that, Jordan Watkins is going to be hurt for about a month with a high ankle sprain. Is it going to be Russell Gage? We know Demarcus Robinson is potentially headed for a suspension. So the 49ers wide receiver room is looking a little shallow at the moment. Now we'll see what happens, but imagine that Demarcus Robinson gets suspended for the first couple games, and Brandon Aiyuk can't play, and Jauan Jennings. The 49ers would have two healthy wide receivers. Depending on how many they keep on their active roster, whether that's 6 or 7. So it's an interesting start to the year, but that's how the cookie crumbles. The 49ers need some additional help. They're making calls, according to Dianna Russini. So we'll see if they pull the trigger on anything. But again, like I mentioned, I could definitely see a world where the 49ers pull off a couple, fringe roster trades. Again, like as I explained, guys who are most likely going to be released, but the 49ers get the first rights for a late round pick swap or something of that nature. So we'll see what happens, but let me know what you think. Who should the 49ers be targeting? What wide receiver should they try to add to the team? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.